Welcome to Unity of Pomona, or Unity of Pomona Valley, we like to call ourselves now that we've moved to Claremont, to our Sunday morning service. We're glad you're with us. And we've got two special guests and a bunch of friends from the Compassionate Pomona community, and we're talking about Compassionate Pomona today. So we are so glad that you are here. I have chosen a song that is hard to sing. I chose it because it's from Godspell, which I loved. And when I came here, I asked the choir to sing it, and they found it challenging. And Drac, I know, finds it challenging. But we have, we do our best, and as just a singer, we do our best, right? So I hope you'll get in the spirit. Julie, are you ready for God, for Beautiful City? And you may notice, you've got the words up, but there are also pictures of community stuff. And Roberta, you may recognize this. The picture is of one of our high schools in Pomona has a flying class. Is that right? Aviation. They teach the kids how to fly. So anyway, let's go for it. Shows up in so many ways. But if anybody knows a song leader, send them to me. Let us pray. Divine One, in whom we live and move and have our being, heart of heart, love of loves. Let us open our minds and our hearts to live each day as a channel for divine compassion. Let us allow kindness to be our guide, our habit, and our love language. Let us allow our senses and our intuition to see those that are hurting. And let us be willing to respond with gentle care. May the divine within me, within all of us, serve and encourage others so that inner peace may grow into outer peace in families, communities, cities, nations, and throughout our world. May each of us be an example of love in action and in the words we speak and even think. As the Spirit, just as the spiritual masters of all the religions of the world have taught and done. And so it is. Amen and amen. Let us sing the Lord's Prayer. Announcements. I invite everyone to join us if you can stay for food. We've got a lot of food in our room at the back, and we stay and talk, and then I'm grateful for the food that has come in. Today at about 2:30 we're going to have a Unity, I'm hoping that we have our Unity 102 class. Several people are not able to stay for it, so we'll see if it happens now or if we just postpone it till. You want us to postpone it?
Yeah, can you?
Yeah, we can postpone it.
Yeah.
We can postpone it. Thank you, Julie, for letting me know. Julie was going to be there in Arthur, and their house is showing. Do you want it to sell?
I want to find the perfect house.
You want to find a perfect house before you sell your house.
Yeah, I'm not, it's contingent.
Yeah, okay, okay.
Selling my house is contingent on me.
Finding the perfect house. Well, we see God in divine order in unfolding in all of that. So if you are interested in learning more about Unity, our history, our beliefs, and sharing your own, let us know so you can be a part of that. I keep bringing books from home, and you can look through them, take them, bring them back, whatever you want to do. We love to share spiritual literature. Jackie and I and Nancy went to our Unity Southwest Weevolution conference near Phoenix. It was in Scottsdale, Monday through Thursday. And we practiced something called We-Wunning. Have any of you heard of it? It's like practicing the presence of the divine. And by tuning into a field that's between two people. So it was for me, it was very powerful, but a lot of people didn't like it. So Anyway, it's something that I'm going to explore and maybe bring to us in some form. But we were at a Franciscan Renewal Center, and it was so beautiful in the desert, and we did art. So you'll have to, when you come in our office, you'll see some of the art that Jackie and I and Nancy did there. Conversations about God from the Upland Interfaith Council is this Tuesday evening, 6 to 7 at the library in Upland. And it is our friend Rahana Mojud's son, Dr. Siraj Mojud, and he's talking about Islam and mental health. Mental health is a big topic, a topic that we all need to understand and know more about. So our own and the people around us. So I encourage us to go there. This Wednesday, we are starting a course in banner making. I have flyers in my room with how to prepare and what to bring. If you're interested, you know, we make our banners, and now a number of people from the Religious Science Church are interested in also making banners. So, yeah, oh, you're interested. Okay, good. Yeah, let me know, and I will make sure to get the flyer. And that will be for 2 weeks, and sometimes it takes longer than that, so you can find your own time to work on that. Unity meditation and prayer is on Wednesdays from 4:30 to 5:30 on Zoom. And our book study is on Thursdays at 7 on Zoom. It is Let There Be Light, talking about the Hebrew Bible, what we sometimes call the Old Testament, and the stories and how those stories live inside each of us. It's a very powerful work. And then on Sunday, June 21st, after our meal, after our service and our meal, I will be working with mindfulness meditation, which is a powerful practice of learning to be in the now and attuned to yourself, to your emotions and body sensations and all of that. And then Almitra Henderson is having Soul Connection at 5 o'clock from 5 to 6:30 here in a circle that day. And she's asking us, since it's Father's Day, to bring pictures of our fathers. Those are pictures of my father. So if you want to see what a cutie he was a cutie. And funny. And we are just blessed with people from the community that are helping us explore how we step into community work, community life in many different ways. So today we have Dr. Roberta Proman and Dick Bunce with us, who are long time friends and supporters, and I'm excited because they're a part of Compassionate Pomona. We need to hold both Ruth and Darren in the light of prayer. Ruth had an accident. She doesn't have a car now. And so if there's somebody later on, she couldn't come today, but that could pick her up, that would be helpful. She just had eye surgery this week as well. And then we know that all of our blessings are many, that they come from the one, and let us say the affirmation together that is on the screen. Together, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all I am, all I give, all I do, and all that I receive. And so it is. Jackie Morrison, will you come up and read your favorite thing, the Daily Word? Liz is passing the basket. So if anyone would like to donate to our church, we absolutely appreciate it, and that is how we are able to function. So, thank you, Jackie.
Pretty with a heart.
A heart.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The word for today is appreciation. I express appreciation for my many blessings together.
I express appreciation for my many blessings.
It has been said that what I appreciate appreciates. The more I give thanks for what I have, the more blessings I will discover. Practicing gratitude in all circumstances helps me realize how abundantly blessed I am. When I remember all the good that God is, more good is revealed to me. Taking a breath, I give thanks for life. Opening my eyes, I give thanks for the clarity of spiritual vision. Listening deeply, I give thanks for divine wisdom. With each bite of food, every sip of water, I feel grateful for my body and physical senses. There is so much to appreciate, from the small everyday things to life's most grand events. Giving thanks with my whole heart brings me joy. I practice appreciation for all that I am, all that I have, and all that I do. And from Psalm 9:1, I will give thanks to the Lord with my whole heart. I will tell of all your wonderful deeds.
Thank you, Jackie. So we're going to sing 2 songs now, and they're short, and we want them to be short. So let's not sing.
So how many do you want to do?
Let's do 2 of the gospel in one word is love, and we're only doing the first verse of is love is the answer.
Okay.
There's 2 verses, but we'll only do the first.
Okay. All right. All right. I don't have the music for love, but I can pick it. Love, 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 love. The gospel in one word is love. Love your neighbor as yourself. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. The gospel in one word is love. Love your neighbor as yourself. Love your neighbor as yourself. Love, love, love. Love, love, love is the answer. Love is the answer. Love is the way. Love, love, love is the answer. Love is the answer. Love is the way. You don't want to do joy.
No. We have someone that is leaving town on a train
I didn't know
it-
it was.
soon.
I was confused.
So we're gonna kind of speed through this, but I know you guys always like to start with some humor. So the foursome was at a golf course, and Bernie was about to putt when a funeral procession just turned the corner. And it was right there by the course. And so Bernie straightened up from his putting position. He took off his hat and he put it across his chest and he held it to his heart for the whole time that the procession went on. Then, as the procession ended, he turned back to the putting and bent over. A member of his foursome said, "That was very thoughtful of you, Bernie. You're a very compassionate guy." "Thank you," Bernie said. "We would have been married 25 years next Tuesday."
Oh,
Compassion looks like many things to many of us, and they're probably all different, right? And yet it's a lesson that we are all, if we're in earth here, we get to learn it one way or another. I think that's the main reason our souls come to earth, to learn and be compassionate in three-dimensional form. So I have been involved since about 2005, when Leland Stewart knocked on our door and invited our Unity Church to get involved in his Unity and Diversity interfaith meetings. Do you remember that, Jackie? Mm-hmm. And we have been involved in interfaith ever since then. I loved it so much that I signed up to be in the Claremont Interfaith Council and the Upland Interfaith Council. And then, of course, I couldn't stay away from Tom Johnson's Middle East Peace interfaith work. And so, as well as a number of other ones that have come and gone or moved on. And so, for me, interfaith is what is just an important part of bringing our world together into love and peace. So in 2015, 26 interfaith friends went to the Parliament of the World's Religions. And there we are. Dick, do you remember that picture?
Yeah.
You were there in Salt Lake City, and we presented about the many diverse ways that we do interfaith work. You may notice that there are other people that you recognize, including Rihanna Mojud, Sohaila Azizi, Cantor Paul Bush, Dr. Halima Shakely from the City of Knowledge, Paul Knopf from PUSD, Pomona Unified School District, Sandra Wagner from the University of Laverne, Rabbi Zev Fayer, who, by the way, is having surgery at the end of the month, so if you can hold him in the light of prayer. Dr. Rose Bowie and her late husband, Hum, and other amazing Buddhist, Hindu, Jewish, Muslim, Christian, and New Thought friends. So it was really a remarkable thing. And probably more important than our presentation and our time with each other was learning about compassionate cities. That's where we first heard about it. And we came back and we were so excited because we wanted to build compassionate cities up and down our valley and out into the Inland Empire. Compassionate cities work with the Golden Rule, and it is in all religious traditions. So we studied Karen Armstrong's book, 12 Steps to a Compassionate Life. And I think somebody met their husband there, right, Catherine? Isn't that what you were doing when you and Don were studying? You fell in love over that book. Is that right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and I got to be a part of marrying them. So, you know, when you get into your heart, amazing things happen. And there is Bill Lesher. Some of you may remember Bill, who retired here. He had been the president of the board of the Parliament of the World's Religions, and he retired here to Pilgrim Place. And he was one of the ones that was teaching us from this book by Karen Armstrong. We met at many places, including the Da, the Kaudai Temple, at Unity Church, at the Fairplex. We had a meeting at Fairplex. So just learning and figuring out what to do and how to, learning about compassion and how to work together and how to work with our city and our school district, because our mayor said that he would not think about signing unless the school district was involved in this as well. And that was really a brilliant thing because everybody is working together. And so we had a lot of meetings. Meetings with the school district, with the superintendent, who was Richard Martinez at that time, meetings with the mayor and the city council. We met with all of them a number of times. We came up with a resolution, and then finally on April 2nd, 2018, Pomona officially became Compassionate Pomona. We had trainings by Laura Burgess in compassion at the City of Knowledge School. We put on a conference at University of Laverne. We joined the Pomona Reawakening Conference. We tabled at events. Catherine, who is here, was one of our best tablers. So you could see that there was just a lot of things that were happening at that time. Today, we have two of the many, many people that are involved in Compassionate Pomona that are going to speak. And I'm going to ask Roberta Perlman to speak first. She is the president of the board. Vice president. Thank you. It rotates, right? And so, does that mean next year you'll be president, Roberta?
That does mean that.
Okay.
Wow.
So come on down. And she's a good friend of Unity, and she's a good friend of really all people of Pomona, our residents, our children, our church, myself, etc. So, and our meetings have been twice a month for quite a while now, on Zoom and sometimes in person. So I leave you that picture.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Mwah.
Okay, it's all yours.
Okay. Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Afternoon, sorry.
Well, yeah, right.
So, first of all, it's always a pleasure to come and speak to you. Thank you, Jan, again for the invitation. I appreciate it. Particularly talking about this. First of all, thanks, Dick, for partnering up with me because I am in a big rush. I have a big labor management conference in San Diego that I'm heading out to as soon as it helps us learn how to better collaborate with our labor unions at the school district and how management and labor unions and all our employees can work more effectively together. So anyway, I'm headed there in just a few hours. So so that's why I need to leave. So thanks for taking that part over. So Dick is going to talk about his own history because I didn't start with Compassionate Pomona right at the beginning, right? I mean, I came into it later, and first of all, working to make positive change in the community we all know it's grueling work, right? So it's fueled by compassion and commitment, and it's about taking responsibility and making a commitment to this hard work that we're doing. But the magic of Compassionate Pomona, now, to me, I'm on so many committees, I can't even, frankly, remember all of them, but I'm on a lot of committees, all working to make change. But there's a magic in Compassionate Pomona. Number one, Jan is there. Now, it takes one person to kind of lead this with the, and in her case, she leads a lot with the heart, and through her spiritual connection, she brings us all along with her. So I'd say that the magic of Compassionate Pomona is, number one, making authentic connections, and we realize, I think, in Compassionate Pomona that it's not programs, it's not structures, it's people that make change. It's people. And it's the heart and commitment of people to make change. So that is what you specialize in, my friend. So I thank you for that. And everyone there is, I think, like-minded. Frankly, the people, I think there was a lot of discussion at the beginning, like we take too much time to connect to each other, and that's what makes it special. And Jen and I had a lot of discussion about that, because that is what makes Compassionate Pomona special. But so while most organizations focus on systems, policies, and services, Compassionate Pomona also focuses on something much deeper: the heart and the consciousness of a community. Now, so if you think it's easy, it's hard to make small changes in a community, leave alone changing the consciousness of the entire community, right? So, but when we bring people together, we bring together faith leaders, education communities, law enforcement, city, and the health and wellness community, nonprofits, and community partners, and we all share a common goal to create a healthier, stronger, and more connected community. But what makes Compassionate Pomona unique is not simply the organizations, but the spirit that drives us. And so a couple of times a month, we create a space to discuss important issues affecting our community. from immigration and housing to youth well-being, community health, and public safety. We begin by sharing our thoughts and feelings about a variety of topics, recognizing that meaningful conversation starts with understanding one another's experiences and perspectives. That practice reminds us that before we are professionals, we are people, okay? So we ask ourselves questions that are often overlooked. How do we listen to one another? How do we treat people when we disagree? How do we create a culture where every person feels seen, valued, and connected? I know I've said this before, and I'm sure you've said it many times, Jan, but you know, we need to put our own oxygen mask on before we can help others with theirs. So we need to connect with ourselves before we can help others in our community. So when Compassion Pomona participating members work together, we can address challenges more effectively and create a culture of belonging and hope. Changing the entire consciousness, again, of a community is a daunting task. It doesn't happen overnight, but we just keep watering the fruit trees, not the thorns. Right? So, yes. One of our favorite Rumi quotes. Compassion is especially important in the lives of our young people. Today's youth are growing up in a world that's more connected to social media than ever before and increasingly isolated. Kids have hundreds of followers on Instagram, hundreds of friends on their computer, but they don't have one close friend. I mean, this is the reality of what life is like for children today. So on social media, there's a lot of cyberbullying, and it creates a lot of loneliness, anxiety, and division in our kids. You know, too often young people are exposed to criticism and judgment before they fully develop the confidence and resilience to navigate it. Good. I was just almost ready to talk about Sky Schools, Nancy, so I don't want to call you out for just walking in. So it's so important. Families don't sit together. How many times are you sitting in a restaurant and you see the parents and all the kids on their phones texting? Well, they're all sitting at the table together. We see it a lot, right? So it's really important that we need to teach those values in the schools. We do. I mean, you think those are like human values and family values that maybe were discussed at one time around the table, and maybe they weren't. I don't know. You know, I'm not sure about that, but I know that social media is not helping this situation. So, so Compassion Pomona was the driving force in supporting the work of Sky Schools. So one of the first initiatives related to Compassion Pomona was our Sky Schools initiative. So we proactively address mental health issues amongst our children, our school staff, our families. Believe it or not, convincing people that breathing and calm thought are excellent tools to address stress is harder than you would think. Okay, so people are much more willing to take medication than they are to stop and breathe. So it's changing the mindset. Compassion Pomona also introduced our community to the work of Azim Kamisa, who authentically opened our eyes to the true meaning of calm, connection, and forgiveness. And actually, Azim Kamisa was the first one I heard related to, and that's when I got involved in Compassion Pomona.
Oh,
So it was Azim that brought me, and also Sky Schools, which was, you know, promoted by Pramila, our friend Pramila. We're going to lunch with her next week, I think. So. Character Champions is another important initiative that's supported by Compassion Pomona. From transitional kindergarten through high school, they encourage students to let their human values shine. Values like kindness, respect, courage, empathy, responsibility, integrity, and compassion. Things that, again, sometimes aren't spoken of in the home, and particularly as people get busier. And I mean, the reality is now just to live, people have to work 2-3 jobs. I mean, people don't even have the time to sit and talk to their kids. So it's problematic, and we understand that at the school district. We see it, so teaching these things just becomes part of what we do. Embracing human values shapes how young people treat each other, how they respond to challenges, and ultimately the kind of community that they will create. We need to teach these values when the children are young. Many second and third graders have cell phones now. And instead of having meaningful conversations with their families, they're conversing on social media, okay? If we want a more compassionate community tomorrow, we have to intentionally cultivate compassion in our youth today. We must teach them that every person has value, that thoughts and words matter, and that kindness and compassion are their superpowers. We talk about superpowers a lot. As leaders, educators, parents, faith communities, and community partners, we have a responsibility to model those values ourselves. Young people are watching us. They learn as much from how we treat one another as what we teach them. They learn that leadership comes not only from the brain, but from the heart. The work of Compassion Pomona is ultimately about building a community where compassion guides our decisions, our partnerships, and our relationships. When we lead with compassion, we build trust. When we build trust, we strengthen partnerships. And when strong partnerships come together around a shared purpose, that's what transforms communities. Because when compassion becomes part of our consciousness, it changes how we lead, how we partner, and how we serve. The work becomes more than solving problems. It becomes strengthening the human connections that allow communities to thrive. Compassion is not just something we do, it is something we become. And when enough people choose compassion, an entire community can be transformed. So, for me personally, on a personal note, what I've done through Sky Schools, thank you, Nancy, for the work you continue to do to that end, and the learning and reading the words of Azim Kamisa, of course, conversing with Jan all the time, it has transformed me. I mean, I used to be dealing with things in the, when you're serving the public as I do. I mean, we all do, but it becomes very challenging. Learning how to accept and take responsibility. It's a harder job than one would think. Just accepting, no matter how atrocious the things that are being said are, and sometimes they are atrocious, things that you hear, we still have to, it's still somebody's feeling, it's still somebody's thought. So we have to accept, we don't have to necessarily embrace it, but we have to accept that it's somebody's feelings and somebody's thought. And that, frankly, I probably, I wasn't even aware of it. And of course the awareness piece is a huge part of it. So I wasn't even aware that I was doing it, that you become defensive when somebody's, accusing you or saying things that may not be true, but truth or not, you just need to accept everything that comes to you. And then, as I say, let things go. And you have to be able to let things go. Another thing, not to let that thing in our brains keep going over and going over and going over. Just let it go. And those kind of, I'm 72 years old. I learned it in seriously the last 5 years. So it's never too late for people, So anyway, but anyway, I thank you for listening today. I thank you again, Dick. I always say to Dick, I tease him all the time. I say, every time you open your mouth, something very wise comes out. So, so I've always appreciated the work you've done on behalf of the community, Dick. So I honor you and I thank you for doing that work. And Jan, thank you for keeping Compassionate Pomona together. I know everybody hasn't always agreed with the direction of the organization, but you stuck to it because you believe that connection is overall what's going to make the change. So thank you, my dear friend, and thank you all for listening.
Let us give Roberta a big I just want to say, Roberta, I always learn from you. You are my teacher.
Well, I'm just repeating what you say all the time.
But
No wonder you think it's so wise.
It's like a rabbi. Thank you. Love you.
Thanks a lot. And I have to be on my way, so I apologize for running off. And thank you, Dick, for doing the part. I will listen to the tape of what Dick has to say because I'm very interested, and I'm always interested to hear the wisdom, Dick.
So come on up, Dick. Thank you.
my
Give
dear friend.
Roberta
Thank you.
another round of applause. Thank you, Ron, for being with her and supporting her as she
Safe
moves.
travels. And I appreciate the benefit of the doubt that you give me as wisdom.
It's true. And I have known Dick for a number of years and doing many things with him and being blessed by his friendship as well as his work in the community. So Dick, come on down, just share with us whatever is on your heart.
Thanks, Jan. It's good to be with you. I'm going to be very focused on Pomona in this little statement, but it's kind of funny to be doing that in Claremont. But the communities are so interrelated that I think it's probably okay. Set this aside. Okay. All right. I think we learn a lot about compassion from the composition of the word itself. So let's just do a little word study. The com part, the C-O-M part, refers to doing something with somebody. The commons, companionship, common good. The pa has to do with, or the pa has to do with the pain or the pathology of the situation. The shun is the active piece, the action needed to fix the problem, the passion to make things right. Now, over time, the word has taken on an emphasis on feeling another's pain, sympathy, and obviously feeling is crucial. Feeling is a key part of the word compassion. But it's about more than a feeling. It has to do also with making sure that it leads to and becomes part of action, part of the effort to make things better. It helps a lot to apply a modifier. And a little story in the back of the modifier I'm about to share with you is this. A professor at the School of Theology at Claremont had a project. And it was a project dealing with the many ins and outs of compassion. It's a phenomenal concept. And so he decided he wasn't going to call it a project on compassion only. Engaged compassion. Engaged compassion. And so when I approached Pomona civic leadership to ask that the term be included in the city values that are posted right on the website, I asked for both words, engaged, compassion. So these words are now included on the website and also part of the city charter preamble. Now, similar words have been adopted to set the tone for every single city council meeting and every commission meeting. It never fails. I was on the planning commission and this was always stated, and that is that this city is committed to leading with compassion. Now, isn't that a wonderful way to start a meeting?
Amen.
I mean, it's just really terrific. So I love it when I hear the mayor or some participant in a city council meeting or some meeting around the community who will say, if we're going to be a compassionate city, we need to do such and such. And that's a great standard to hold up. And I think that it's kind of a bit of a fuel to what I would call a refining fire. In part, calling the city compassionate. And I think we more and more are thinking of ourselves as just that, as a city. in part calling ourselves that has to do with aspiration. We'll never be all the way there. We'll never have a perfect score. But we can challenge ourselves and keep being challenged to take that next bold step to combat poverty or racism, marginalization, or whatever other social ill we might be facing. And we currently do this, meet that challenge, in part by supporting the Ice Out of Pomona Coalition. We do this by embracing an innovative, funded project geared to early education needs, such as preparing 4-year-olds for kindergarten. Now, listen, I was in no way prepared for kindergarten. How I would have loved to have a project like this. Just so creative. We do this by supporting a school district and a police department, both of which do all that they know how to do to uphold the city's commitment to be a sanctuary city in which families will not be ripped apart by the cruel actions of some federal forces. We do this by adding to the city's common life, celebrating and promoting compassion through what we call the kindness carnivals. As I've served in various booths, I've just so enjoyed it because we have all this literature, you know, in the booths, all this information about all the things that are going on in the community, while at the same time the children are out there tossing the ball or throwing darts or whatever they might be doing, and the adults engage with them in that as well. We're seeing various efforts in our effort to meet that standard of compassion to tackle the awful problem we call homelessness. We now have a highly regarded shelter and service center on Mission Boulevard. It's really up to speed and up to standard. And we have, I'm learning now that we have a tiny house community that may soon happen. This means we have a lot of little tiny houses where people have privacy, where they can use the utilities and clothe themselves and so forth, sleep. And yet there's a lot of common life in that tiny house community. It's been found to work very well. There's just an excellent tiny house community in Oregon. It's been functioning for some time now. So this is a very exciting possibility. We also have, I want to say something else about homelessness, and that is that Pomona has always had some degree of housing that's affordable. I got a statistic a while back that for many years, Pomona has had about 15% of its apartment housing geared to the affordable standard. So that's a good thing to build on. Now we have a school district that, now I've been around school districts a lot. I used to work with a school district. And this is a school district that loves the kids. Now it's one thing to have a set of projects, classes that do the job. It's another to do it with love. And I see it all the time in this school district. It's not to say things are perfect, not by a stretch, but people will talk to each other, people will collaborate, and that allows all kinds of creativity. So I think highly of this school district, and by the way, it gets one grant after another in the grant world. They all talk to each other, the foundations, they all talk to each other. This particular school district has a good reputation. Something else that we have tackled, that has to do with conflict. Conflict that often is caused by one particular person who has an agenda that is hostile. Sometimes it's conflict between groups. And there needs to be some kind of disciplined approach to communicating, talking with each other, to trying to work things out verbally before things get worked out physically in all the wrong ways of physical. And this program called Restorative Practices was presented at a conference that was inspired by the fact that the Pomona City Council voted unanimously to become a compassionate city. And this particular conference was called Pomona Reawakening. And the lead speaker, Azim Kamisa, brought the whole idea of restorative practices alive for us. And it was very exciting. And so what it essentially does is not only to bring people together in such a way that they will be able to talk about the issues that are really troubling them and are dividing them. What it also does is to bring them together in such a way that they will work together toward finding a way forward. So here are protagonists who are suddenly shoulder to shoulder finding solutions. All right, so another thing that we do, this has been mentioned, we come together twice a month, the agency personnel, volunteers, in which we learn from each other, we coordinate a way forward for the city, and it's consistently in a spirit of compassion. And Jan, you just set that tone every time. I mean, you just open it with this generous heart, and people pick that up. It communicates. You communicate at that spiritual level. And that's a neat thing to have all these different people coming together representing various interests of the community and really anticipating restorative practices. I talked about how people in conflict work their way forward, collaborating on how to make things better. Well, we anticipate conflict in a sense by saying, well, let's not wait until people are fighting with each other. Let's really make sure we're talking, hearing each other, and find our way forward on that, at every point. So this is all good. The mayor, Kim Sandoval, likes to remind us that Pomona has had the characteristics, many characteristics of a compassionate city for a very long time. And there's no doubt that that's true. I talked about how there's a long history of affordable housing in the apartment complexes of the city. Also, there's an organization called The Club that's been lifting kids for years now by having one character building, one trust building conversation at a time. Now that's a rich statement. Their motto is basically that. We lift kids by having one conversation at a time. How better to build trust? How better to build character? A mentoring program, my goodness. I was so blessed to have a mentor as I was coming up through the ranks in high school. And I'll never forget, one time I went to him and I called him Uncle Bill. And he was a scout leader, he was a leader in our church, and a gruff guy. He was a very successful businessman and very gruff in his way, but very warm at the same time. And I went in kind of with my head hanging down. I'd had some defeats in school, and I said, you know something, I'm just not a leader. And he said, look at me, you are a leader. You are a leader. Those words stayed with me all the way through preparation for all kinds of things I've done in my life. And that's the kind of thing that happens at the club in Pomona. I mean, this is grace, this is love, this is compassion. So, calling Pomona compassionate is aspirational, but it's also a recognition the city that's had a lot of hard knocks, has been resourceful, been willing to humbly recognize when something is wrong, and then to cobble together as best as possible those parts, those pieces that can come together for problem solving. My wife and I have lived in Pomona now for 25 years. And I want to just have an aside here. We had raised our kids in North Upland, a relatively affluent community. And we had a lot of crime. I mean, I could list the things that happened in my immediate neighborhood and to my own home. We moved to Pomona. People are saying, you can't go to Pomona. There's just so much crime there. In 25 years, I want to tell you about the crime we've experienced living in Lincoln Park in Pomona. We had a battery stolen off of our travel trailer. That's it.
Wow.
In Upland, I had a gun held on me by a man who was inebriated. In Upland, I had a car pull up beside me at night, and it was obvious that they wanted to rob me, and I just stood there and took a power stance and got the license number as the car drove away, and I called the police. I got part of the license number and said, by the way, they were going to rob you. There were any number of other things that happened, but let me just say this, let's not generalize about cities.
Yes.
Each has its own personality, and a big part of what makes Pomona what it is, I don't want to overly romanticize it, because Pomona has issues. Every city does. Pomona definitely has issues. But something that is at the core of what makes this city so promising is a certain bond within the ranks of the leadership, both official and volunteer. It has a lot to do with the compassion, this bond based on compassion, acceptance of one another, and it's there. And I think it's something that can be celebrated and something for which we can be very grateful. So with that, I want to just open this, Jan, if you'd like to join me and respond to any
Sure, if anybody has questions.
any ideas, and you want to challenge anything I've just said, I welcome that.
And I want to add to it, because a
Sure.
part of, we envisioned having every city, Claremont. Upland became a compassionate city because someone on the city council promoted it. And as long as she was there, there was action. But and Sohaila Azizi was very involved in that. But when this person was not reelected, then there really has not been movement. So it takes energy to keep this going. And there is a group working to have Compassionate Claremont. And there still is a group that wants Compassionate Claremont.
I thought that we were just right on the cusp of it.
Well, it hasn't moved forward.
Okay.
So one of the things that has to happen for really a city to be compassionate is they have to realize that they have problems. Pomona didn't have any trouble realizing that they had problems. But a lot of cities don't want to own that. And they don't want to deal with the problems. Hence, they don't become compassionate cities. They say, oh, we don't need that. We're already compassionate, right? We've heard that. And so I just want to honor all the work, and just if you can hold in the vision, it is a powerful thing to bring people together compassionately. Catherine, I don't know if you want to say anything, because you've been in this from early on. Do you want to say anything?
I would just say, I really appreciate how Dick expressed it, how Roberta expressed it. I think if every city we could clone Jan and put her in every city, we'd probably have enough. All the cities would be declared compassionate cities. it really takes people who are committed and who feel it very deeply. And it does take people who realize that their city has this need, that it's not all about trying to look perfect as a city, and that there's a need in every city, a deep need, I really think, everywhere.
And to realize that everybody that comes has gifts to give, like Dick did all of that promoting of getting compassion into our city charter and onto our website. And you two were both, I think, a part of at the meetings, how there's something read about listening and to each other compassionately instead of swearing at each other, we shifted, and Catherine and Linda Lowry both write up our minutes from each meeting. And so, it takes people, everybody brings different gifts and skills to it, and that's why it works, right?
Yes.
So, other comments, questions?
I will just add something here as you're thinking about anything you might want to ask or say. When the mayor came to meet with our group, he praised what we were doing and so forth. He said, but I want to remind you that there are a lot of issues in the city that are systemic. They are systemic problems. They formed over a period of time. They become part of the system, the way the city operates. And the solutions, instead of being attitudinal, are sometimes systemic solutions. They have to, you have to get in there and be kind of a mechanic of how things work and figure out how to get things working better. And I think he's right. At the same time, I think it's a both-and situation, where if you have the compassion, even the love at work, that's the lubrication that makes all those different parts work so much better. And so when anybody says to me, well, it's a little Pollyanna, it's a little bit too, doesn't really grapple with the depth of the systemic issues. No, it's not intended to. It's intended to inspire us to grapple with those issues, to be honest as we deal with those issues, and to be patient as we work our way all the way through, which is ongoing, actually. So I really wanted to add that, because
Yes.
don't anybody say that compassion is, when I first started pushing this for being prominent in the city media, there was a very active woman in our community who said, well, that's just window dressing. It's window dressing. I mean, it doesn't really deal with the substance of the racism and the poverty of the community. And so we have to be mindful of that perception and respect it, and saying, thank you, yes, you're right, we've got to tackle all those things, but let's do it with compassion. Let's do it with compassion.
And Dick has mentioned, and Roberta, Azim Kamisa. And and this conference, and Dick was the primary architect of the Pomona Reawakening Conference, and we are working with Azim to have another one. So I'm putting it out there next February, hopefully, as well as to have a forgiveness, 2-day forgiveness workshop. Because forgiveness, Azim feels the whole world needs forgiveness in order to have peace in the world. And wouldn't that be a wonderful thing if we can do that? So.
And I want to say too that Azim has, he with all flags flying, talking about forgiveness, and this will be coming up at a new event being planned. As a result, Pomona, I think, has moved forward in some surprising ways. And I think that's impacted communities around Pomona as well. And the secret sauce is compassion. So if you want to remember one thing from this whole morning, just remember that. Compassion is the secret sauce.
For all our lives, right?
Yeah.
For everything, for our families, for our neighborhoods, for our communities, for our cities, for our state. And we are a compassionate state, by the way.
And if we do, and we can do the right thing, but if we do it in the spirit of self-righteousness,
Yeah.
it just creates more problems,
Yeah.
ultimately.
No.
So,
The self-righteousness doesn't
yeah,
really work for
the
us.
secret sauce is what we need.
Let's give Dick a big hand. Thank you, Dick. You've been such a wonderful partner in this.
Well, you've been the driving force, and there's a divine element that's beyond and within and
There is.
working through.
We're
all of
all
that.
listening and willing. So I just want to say one thing real quick, and that is that, I'll let you,
Sure.
yeah. I got an email this morning from a Unity minister that's a Fillmorian, very traditional. And he said, if you want to know how to transform the social order, follow these 5 suggestions. And, I guess one of them is, who is the unserved flock? We ask, and we ask, what are the problems in the community? When that's the question we ask. Ask, how can we keep the focus on the needs of this person instead of focusing on the benefit to the ministry? I have never focused on the benefits to the ministry, and some board members may not understand that, but to me, the ministry is the city.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all of us, it's everyone. And how can this person be served without raising money? We have a lot of Unity is kind of the base from which Compassionate Pomona comes. It's our 501c3 number that goes in. It's our bank account that we hold the money in. Linda Lowry keeps things separate. But Compassionate Pomona doesn't even have a bank account, because that's not what it's about. It's not about money. It's about love. And that's the important thing. So, Julie, will you bless us with a piece of closing music before we do our final song? Thank you.
All right. This is by composer Claude Debussy. This was apparently the first song he wrote that he kept, I guess, and published. And it's called Arabesque, which, an arabesque is like a beautiful line. So it's just a graceful, beautiful line. So he translated that word into music. So this is Arabesque number 1.
Head south, then turn left.
Sorry about that.
So let us share our prayer for protection together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And now let us sing our peace song. I invite you to stand if you are comfortable standing.